I'm Michael Schwartz. I'm a criminal defense attorney in Savannah. I've practiced death penalty defense for the past 13 years. I have spoken in courtrooms defending people from the death penalty in a variety of jurisdictions, in a variety of circumstances for a long time. I've never spoken in public about my views on the death penalty. I've never been part of a conversation like this. And it's funny, when I walk into court, it's not hard for me at all to stand up and lash out against the government system that's trying to kill the person sitting next to me. This is extraordinarily difficult. I think I almost cried 5 times throughout your words, Kathy. Something that you said about Chatham County, I wanted to start with because it's important to me. We do come from a county that historically kills more people even than our average Georgia county. 3 years ago, when our elected district attorney, Shalina Cook-Jones, took office, there were 4 pending death penalty cases in Chatham County. 4 people who were incarcerated here in our jail with our tax dollars, who our prosecutors down the street were trying to kill. And when Shalina took office, she made the decision that we were not going to pursue the death penalty against those 4 anymore. And that wasn't in exchange for some sort of benefit to the state. It wasn't by an agreement. It wasn't a quid pro quo. It was because she thought that was the right thing to do. And that's the elected DA we have today. I have met face-to-face 17 people who the government was trying to put to death. The youngest was 18 when he was accused of capital murder. The oldest was 47. They've been mostly men, but 1 woman. They've been white, but mostly black, and 1 Arab. They've been tall, they've been short, they've been excitable, loud people, they've been quiet, depressed people. They've been people who preferred Chick-fil-A and people who preferred Popeyes. People who liked coffee black and coffee with cream, and one who made me the best cup of tea I've ever had. They've liked dogs, they've liked cats, they've been afraid, and they've had a kind of faith that protected them from the fear I think I would have if I were in their shoes. The one thing I think that they've all had in common, at least the ones who were guilty, because they weren't all guilty. I've represented at least 1 person who was completely innocent. I've represented a number of people who were innocent, at least of capital murder. But of the people who had committed capital murder, beyond any doubt, the single thing they had in common was that I could see how they got to the place they were when they did the thing they did. Doesn't mean that I could excuse it or that it was justified, but I could understand how they had come from where they were to that moment. And it was such a striking theme so early in my career that I started to realize in every case, if this person had been born in my house, they'd be a lot like me. And if I'd been born in their house, I could be sitting there. There's a predisposition, right, among a bunch of different categories. not just race, not just wealth, not just cognitive functioning, but a predisposition at the end that subjects you to being killed by the government. We've identified a few categories in our history of criminal justice of people who can't be put to death legally. If you commit capital murder, if you commit murder when you're under 18 years old, the government may not execute you. If you have an intellectual disability so that you don't understand enough, if you don't have the capacity, and we define that differently, and it's still being defined, but if you're not at a threshold we're comfortable with as a society, you cannot be put to death. But we don't recognize this predisposition that I'm talking about. And that bothers me. We recognize that if you're not capable of walking up a stairway in a building, we're going to do something to make that possible for you. If you don't learn the same way as everybody else in a classroom, we're going to do something to accommodate that. I don't know why we're not there yet with the death penalty, but I think it has something to do with the dramatization, the inaccurate dramatization that we apply to the people we think we're killing. This fascination with true crime it's a lot of fun. You know, I'll listen to a true crime podcast as much as the next person. But our misunderstanding about the people we're killing, I think, is one of the few things that allows us to be the fifth leading nation on earth of governments who kill. And so my ask when you leave, and I know I don't have to convince most of you to support the cause here. I'm happy to have that conversation with anybody who does want to debate afterward, because I think it's one of the most important policy issues that we face in this year, that we continue to kill people who are innocent, right? I'm not going to convince people who support the death penalty to oppose the death penalty, but I think I can convince you maybe we should stop killing innocent people, and we can have that conversation anytime. But my ask is, when you see the dramatization, when you see the stigma applied to a person who's done a terrible thing, take a moment and think about what is on Coco's t-shirt. When I walked up the stairs and saw her shirt tonight, I thought that this was perfect, and now she's looking at the ground. It's the quote that each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. And we seem to get that as a community, except when it comes to horrific offenses, right? We seem to say, yeah, that's true for most of us when we step out of line, but it maybe isn't true for this. And I'm here to tell you, and maybe it's not a statistically significant number of people I've worked with, I don't know. But of the 17 people I've met, it certainly applies to them.